Yes. Both of them were.
Right, didn't do that without answering.
Let me know when you're ready in the back. And the front.
In the middle.
Good. Now I got your code.
There's nothing you want in there?
Mine's the same. So
Drop you down in tax bracket.
that's it. Ready? Everybody? Good morning, everybody. I want to go back and congratulate Georgia Tech. Brent Key's done an amazing job. I've been a head coach 34 years, and he's been a head coach 4 or 5 games, and he's beaten Georgia Tech. He's beaten Pitt on the road. He beat us on the road. He's really done an amazing job, and he had his team better prepared than I did after 34 years. So got to give him credit. Interim coach, went through 2 or 3 quarterbacks, and just keeps winning. So he'd have to be considered for that job moving forward, because those coaches did an outstanding job. None of them are sure where they're going to be at this point next year. So I like coaches. I admire when they do a good job, and those guys did a good job. Defensively, we did have some guys play well, and we had 5 straight stops to start the game. We did a lot of good things. Storm Duck played his best game since he's been here with the interception. He had another strip on the field that we didn't get on. Kamen Rucker, Ritzy, Miles Murphy, Hester, Sid Gray, and Power Eccles all played really well. So we got to play better in the secondary other than Storm, but the front people did a very good job throughout the night. Offensively, we didn't. We had 3 guys that played well, and that's Ed Montelis played his best game, and then the 2 tight ends that played, Kamari Morales and Bryson Nesbitt. And then special teams, the punt team did a great job. We punted more than we normally do, and Ben did a really good job. They put pressure on the punter, and our shield of guys did an outstanding job with Hester and Malik McGowan and Jonathan Adorno. Noah Burnett continues to do an outstanding job with the kicking, and Marcus Allen, Obi Abguna, Day Hollins, and McCray all did a really, really good job. So those are names that the coaches felt like stood out and played really, really well. It's always been a negative for me when we score on the first play of the game offensively, because you've just played your rival in Wake. You're playing your rival the next week in state, and then it just looks like it's going to be too easy. And you jump out 17-0 and you don't finish it. And that team has come back against everybody. I mean, they were down in the 4th quarter against Virginia Tech and kept fighting, and that's why I admire what their coaches have done so well. And it's usually an imposter. It just looks like it's easy, and it jumps up to bite you. So when I saw it, I said, everybody go tell them it's 0-0 now. We got to start over. But it's hard to get their attention, and we didn't. And I thought the difference in the game was that they were 3 for 3 in touchdowns in the red zone, and we were 1 for 5. And we've been great in red zone touchdowns. We weren't as good last week, and we were horrible on Saturday night. And that was the difference in the game both ways. And we've got to get back to doing that better. We've got to be more consistent with our running game. We had some big runs. The second one to Elijah Green, the flag was thrown when he was about to 35. It was way late. We've turned it into the league. It's a tough call. That would have won the game. And this came down to a play or two. But I've told the guys, don't put the game in the hands of the officials. Don't let it come down to one play where a human being makes a decision. If he makes a wrong decision, it gets you beat. That's our fault for not making more plays. But that was a tough one, and really a heartbreaker. We had control of the game up 17, and then we allowed them to score with a couple. I was calling timeouts to stop them and try to get to 24 right before the half, and they go score with an explosive. And then it puts us, they get the momentum at halftime. We got to come back out the second half and get momentum and score, and we don't. And then they take the next drive and score. So again, the right before the half and after the half's when that game changed. We started with 5 straight stops, but they had 3 drives of of nearly 80 yards, and all of them were because of an explosive. So it continues to be the same. We held them to fewer explosives. We played better defense. We kept them to 21 points, which is enough for our offense to win the game. But when we had to, unlike in the past few weeks, in the fourth quarter, we had to make a 3rd and 9 stop and a 3rd and 4 stop, and we didn't make it in either one. Both of them are close, but we didn't stop them, and that gave us a chance to still win the game. Offensively, we were very uncharacteristic. We had a interception. We had a stop on 4th down. We had drops. We didn't play well at all, and very, very disappointing. And we've lived with our offense and some plays with our defense, and to win on Friday, both are going to have to step up and play better. And again, you look at the rival games, and I tried to tell the guys this last week, and some listened and some didn't. Arizona beats UCLA before the USC game. South Carolina beats Tennessee 63-38. Arkansas beats Ole Miss 42-27. Vanderbilt beats Florida 31-24. Michigan kicks a field goal with under 10 seconds left to beat Illinois 19-17, and Ohio State has to score with 9 seconds left to secure their win. So it's I think it's the most dangerous week of the year to play. I've always thought opening games and the week before your rival game, and that's why Coach Fedora is probably smart playing some lesser schools that week. And I'd rather open up with them, but this was a case where it jumped up and bit us this weekend. So we got to get our program in better shape where regardless of who we're playing, we've got to play all the time. And that didn't happen on Saturday night. Short week, very much like the NFL. I think the Giants played and the Cowboys played yesterday, and they got to play Thursday. So just go back and get ready to go. And our week's kind of like that. Today's a Tuesday practice. Tomorrow will be a Wednesday practice. So it just you got to get rid of one and get to the next one, win or lose, because you can't let one game beat you twice. And we got to pick it back up. The 24-hour rule has never been more important than it is right now. Both teams are banged up, and a lot of teams are this time of the year. So you've got NC State's recruited well. We've recruited well. But guys have to step up and play, and that's really, really important going forward here for this game. Offensively, in the second half, we had 108 yards. We punted 3 times. We had an interception, and we turned it over on downs, and we didn't score in the fourth quarter. And all of those things are the reasons that we've won 9 games, that we've been doing really, really well in the second half. So not sure where all that came from, but again, give Georgia Tech credit. NC State's a very emotional game. It's a rival game, and I've always said that fans are the ones that create rivalries, because they work together and they go to church together and they see each other at the grocery store and they pick at each other all the time. And we've got 3 of them here that are really important to this university when you got Wake and Duke and State. And all those games are very, very important. And then a lot of our people, again, spend time with Virginia and Virginia Tech. So there's really like 5 rivals here. So the game's very, very important. You start looking at NC State. They've played great defense, not good defense. They're 21st in total defense in the country, only giving up 323 yards per game. They're 15th in scoring defense, only giving up 18.7 points per game. They're 9th in rushing defense, giving up 100 yards, basically. And they're 18th in third down defense. They're only letting people get third downs 31.8% of the time. Drake Thomas and Isaiah Moore and Peyton Wilson are 3 of the best linebackers in the country. In fact, they may be on a team of 3, the 3 best. And their front's really, really strong and tough. And I've been really, really impressed with the way that they've played defense throughout the year. Offensively, they're big, they're physical, they run the ball. We don't know who's going to play quarterback, but we just got beat by a team that played their 3rd and 4th team quarterbacks. So all the quarterbacks are good. So wouldn't be there if they weren't good, and somebody didn't think that they were really, really good players. And they've got very good backs. Thayer Thomas is, again, one of the best receivers in the country. I'm so impressed with Drake and Thayer, and Dad's a coach, and those guys compete, and they compete at a high level, and they're tough, and they play smart. You can tell they're coaches' kids, and I'm just so impressed with what they do. But Thayer's had 51 catches and 4 touchdowns with 586 yards. We had a great crowd on Saturday night. I was disappointed for them that we didn't play better. Even one of the top recruits that was in here this weekend said, man, this environment was special and good, and they stayed, and they tried to help you win, Coach, and that was one thing I wanted to see. So thank you, fans, for hanging in there with us and staying positive and hanging till the end. These kids deserve that. They have won a whole bunch of close games, and this one bit us because we got to the end and we didn't make the plays that we needed to win the game. Questions?
Mack, you talk about state's a physical football team. Is this team specifically for you on offense and defensive line where they need to be physically?
Us?
Yeah.
No, we didn't play good on Saturday on offense. We played pretty good up front on defense. But we're not running the ball consistently well. 3 of the 6 sacks were the offensive line. 3 of them were somebody else, but doesn't matter. Somebody else got to block them too. So no.
Mack, not to belabor the point on the holding penalty that wiped out the big touchdown, but I was just, we were up there watching it and we were halfway joking, like it looked like Nesbitt got like reverse pancaked, like
He
depleted.
did. He got run over.
Right. So like, was that? And again, I'm not trying to get you in trouble either. It seemed pretty unbelievable.
It is. That's why I really feel like in college football, and I've said this 1,000 times, on a call like that changes a game, we need to go upstairs and let the guy call down and say no. He ran over him. You saw it late. You didn't see it. We were at the 35-yard line. I didn't see it because I always check when I see it as a touchdown, and then a late flag comes out. And I think we just turn around and see something late. You're not sure what happened. His backside didn't have anything to do with the play. In fact, we've been mad at Bryson for not being in better position and not being more physical because he got run over. So, but that was disappointing.
Did you get an explanation on that?
No,
Did you send that to the conference? Or?
Yeah, but we don't get it back probably till tomorrow.
Have you ever seen a holding call on an offensive player in which they immediately went on their back?
No, we had one last year where against Wake Forest, they dove at our center and dove right at his knees, and our center put his hands on top of him to keep him from hurting his knees, and they called holding on us. But that was very much like this one.
You've had so many close games. Winning those is a strength, obviously, but also maybe creates like a kind of a sense of invincibility. So, do you see maybe how losing this last game was good in a way to kind of reset? How do you kind of take it that way at all?
Yeah, I don't ever think losing's good.
Yeah.
You can learn from it, and there's teachable moments, and there's guys that wish they'd practiced a little harder, wish they'd have prepared a little better, and they're life lessons more than anything else. But sometimes you can say stuff and it sticks, and sometimes it doesn't. So it'll stick more this week than last week.
Yeah, you have a trap game. Drake talked about it after Wake Forest. Like that early was on the mind. Did you sense any of that during the week that they were overlooking Georgia Tech a little bit?
I did, but I thought it was better than Virginia.
Yeah.
The Virginia week I thought was really bad. This one, I thought defense was more prepared, which they were. More guys played well. And I've just expected our offense to play good. And this first time we didn't.
Does this game have enough juice to it? Is it still a problem? Like, you still have the ACC title game awaiting you. NC State's had a lot of their goals erased because they lost their quarterback and they lost last week.
Yeah, no, NC State's a very, very important game for this school.
What happened Saturday, when you look at the big picture, and I like to talk about big picture because what you came back with was a number 10. How many bricks can you get out of Saturday in the building process here?
It's a good point, Andrew. I think you get a lot because we're always looking at taking another step. We've taken another step by winning 8 games. We've taken another step by winning the Coastal for the second time in school history. But you've got to take an extra step, and like Ross said, we knew this was a trap game, and I kept saying during the week, great teams don't have trap games. They get ready to play, and they just go, and we didn't. So that's another teachable moment. And it was at home, and we've played really well at home. Offense let us down. We've played really well on offense. I mean, all these boxes that were checked were not checked. So you just, it's not about who the best team is ever. It's about who plays the best on that day. And we say it, and our team has to learn that. And we didn't learn that on Saturday.
So trap games, it's incumbent on the team that is potentially being trapped and not allowed to be trap games. So that's kind of where the lesson is. Right?
Absolutely. If you do what we said we wanted to do back in the spring, and you played and practiced to a standard of excellence every day, you don't have trap games, because that's who you are. And obviously we've at the end here, and it's been a long season. I mean, it's because of me. I started 0 week, so it's been a little bit longer than normal. We've got some guys hurt, and that's made other guys play more than they would have at this point. But it doesn't matter. Anything less than winning the game is an excuse. And that's why I want to give some credit to Georgia Tech, too.
Last year, you talked a lot about what Sam Howell meant for the program, recruiting-wise, attention-wise, brand-wise. In Drake's short time as your starter, what has he done in those aspects?
Drake has given our program and the University of North Carolina more publicity in the last 10, 11 weeks than you can buy. It's unbelievable how much attention he's being interviewed on game day and Sports Center, and you can't pay for that stuff. It's too expensive. Just look at those advertisements at the Super Bowl. So he has done so much for our program and our university. And coming right off of Sam, it's unusual to have two of the greatest quarterbacks in your school history back to back. Both of them young, both of them from Charlotte. Both of them are classy, they're smart, they handle things well, and I couldn't be prouder of both of them.
It seemed like Drake was holding onto the ball longer than he usually does. And I don't know, maybe he was a little gun shy, or he was seeing something in Georgia Tech's defense he didn't like. Did you say anything to him? Have you spoken to him at all, or looked at or seen anything from your side of things, or rewatching the game?
No, but for some reason, the guys had off on Sunday. They wouldn't let us, we had to take a day off this week, so we didn't see him till this morning. I haven't really had a chance to talk to him. Coach Longo will talk to you about that. I'm sure he's talked to him. We just didn't play well. We didn't have a good day offensively. Some of it's the route was cut short. They ran the wrong route. I mean, if you sit and look at nights like that, you wonder, when none of that has happened, where it comes from. I mean, it's like it just comes out of nowhere, and that's why when you're dealing with human beings, and especially young human beings that have minds that are all over the place, you never know what you're going to get. That's why coaches get so nervous about Saturday. You think you know, but you don't know. And I was anxious about this one, just because I knew that they had absolutely no pressure, and we were walking around feeling good about ourselves.
You never want to lose a game, but are you glad that it came now rather than later in the season, like against NC State or in the postseason play?
No, I hate losing. It absolutely makes you sick. I hate it.
Mack, do you have to remind you guys about, like, the history of this rivalry? No matter what their record is, this game, you know, how emotional, you talked about emotional. Do you have to remind them about, you know, pay attention to this game no matter what the records are?
Nah, they know. They know. There's enough players on this team that have played them for 3 years. There's enough players on this team from the state of North Carolina, and they have a lot of buddies on the state team. So they laugh and pick at each other, and they hang out together all summer and do that kind of stuff, and that's what makes this so much fun. I like rivalry week probably better than any other week of the season, because it's so passionate, and teams are so passionate, and they're so emotional, and stadiums are full across the country, and people are picking at each other, and even if it's like this one, you've got some families that are mixed, and there'll be some red jackets sitting with blue jackets in the stadium picking at each other, some husband wives that don't speak this week. It's just what it is. It was the Texas-Oklahoma game was very different from the Texas A&M game. Because the Texas A&M game were about a bunch of families from Texas and players from Texas playing each other, and they all knew each other. That's more like this game. The game with Oklahoma was a border state, and it was different and totally different from the in-state rivalry.
State is a very physical team. Where is your team right now with respect to physicality compared to where you would like it to be?
Defensively, we're getting better. We did a better job stopping the run most of the time the other night. The reverse hurt us. That one squirted on us. There were a couple other runs and some quarterback runs, but we're doing a better job stopping the run than we were early in the season for sure. We're not doing a good job stopping red zone scores. I can't figure that out, but they score 3 out of 3. We're 1 out of 5. And I don't like where we are right now on offense. We've gotten away from running the ball enough that we had big runs. We would have had 200 or 300 yards rushing the other night if they hadn't called the one long one back. But again, they're check with me runs where we're not blocking people enough. So no, I'm not really happy right now with us offensively.
Is there an area of concern about pass protection because the sack numbers have been piling up?
Yes. Period. I mean, we were doing a great job. And I told our coaches, sometimes I think you move the ball so much and it's so easy that you get away from little things that you're doing to protect at the first of the year. And we need to go back and revisit who we are and why we got good and not get sloppy and go back to some old habits.
Mike, how much do you use last year's finish at state as a motivating factor coming in this year?
You know, I really used revenge from last year's Georgia Tech game, and it really helped. So when you got 120 of them, CL, that something gets all of them differently, you can't talk to that many and one thing tell them. So they remember. They got to go back. But I told them this morning that Baylor had a 9-point lead on TCU this weekend with 2 minutes left, and they lost the game. I said, it happens. You got to keep playing. And that's just part of the deal. So give State credit for last year, and we didn't finish it.
We noticed that the Georgia Tech game was playing on the TV on loop after the game. I mean, I wonder if it was playing during the whole week. Will it be the same situation for the State game?
What we do is we take highlights from all of those games since they've been here that week, and that's what it is. We do it every week.
Okay.
So we want them to see them playing against these teams for over time.
That opponent for that week?
Yeah. So that's what we do. And there's TVs in every hallway, so I don't even see them. I see them when I walk by them, but our video people just take highlights from the last 3 years of State, and they'll put them up there.
When Drake won the job back in before the season, competitiveness was one of the key factors for why. How have you seen that play out throughout the season, that trade?
Drake's been so competitive. He competes every day, and he'll be harder on himself than anybody. In fact, we have to be careful getting on him because he puts so much pressure on himself. I do that, and sometimes it's a good trait, but sometimes it hurts you because you set yourself back some because you're so hard on yourself. So he and I both need to learn to take it, fix it, and move forward.
He talked about, going off that a little bit, like the mental side of things, he talked about his support system after the game, which I thought was interesting, exciting. His parents, his brother, Sam, I mean, do you see that helping him, that all that support he has from all these athletes in his life?
Yeah, everybody's going to support Drake and pick him up. We would not have won 9 games without Drake playing like he did.
Mack, I know you said that you guys kind of just saw the players this morning, but with Josh and dropping the touchdown pass late, and you saw his reaction. He's on all fours. DJ Jones, I think, went over there and picked him up in the moment. Like, what did you see from Josh after the game, and how do you think, or how people have reacted to him and tried to pick him up? How do you think that's going with him? He's always been so vocal with Drake, saying you're the best, you're the greatest.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think people are trying to lift him back up?
Yeah, these are great young people. And again, we wouldn't have won 9 games and won the Coastal without Josh. He's made play after play after play, and he's made unbelievable catches. They're human beings. They're not video games. So when somebody makes a mistake, I make them every day, and I try to fix them, and that's what we do. The head coach after the game's got a really strange routine. I go in and I see them, and I said to them about what I said to you. Give Georgia Tech credit. It's disappointing. We didn't play good enough. They made one more play than we did, and we've got to figure out why and do a better job next week. So take care of yourself tonight, and I won't see you at all tomorrow. But eat, sleep, and think about NC State, and let's get better. And then I walk out and come see you all. And then I try with my Jeremy hands me the stats sometimes as I'm walking in. I try to look at them and see what I think happened, and then see actually what did happen, and try to give you all as honest an evaluation as I can at that time when you're just absolutely whipped. I mean, you're disappointed. You're mad at yourself because you missed it somewhere. It's the first time I've kind of felt like last year. I didn't connect. I didn't do a good job as a head coach, and it's a shame when you lost to a team that basically you felt like you should have beaten, and that's a bad thing in coaching, and I feel bad about that. But everybody will pick Josh up, and Josh is a competitor like Drake, and they're two of the toughest, smartest, most competitive kids on our team, and they'll come back and fight.
What do you do after the game, win or loss? I mean, just in general, like, do you go out to dinner? Are you going back home, having friends over? What's the
I have to get by myself. So I get Sally right after. I actually talk to the team. I talk to Jones on the radio network. I come talk to you all. I go to my office. I get in the car. I drive straight home, and I have to put the game on. I can't emotionally slow down until I see what happened. And usually I'm mad if we didn't play great, or I'm mad if we get beat. And usually they play much better than I thought, and they play harder than I thought, because you get so you're just so into it, and it's so important to you and to them. And then what I do, Ross, is I watch it about 3 times, because you see something different every time, and you have to be really, really careful when you're watching it and you're mad or you're emotional, because you may make it worse than it is, just because, God, look at that. Why'd he do that? And then 2 times later you say, he does that every week. It's not that bad. So I have to be careful, but I can't sleep. And so I stay up till about 4 o'clock in the morning, and then try to start over the next day. But it's just, I guess, the way you're wired, and I just can't do it. I can't not watch the video. If we're on an away game, I get it on my iPad and I watch it on the way home, on the plane or on the bus. So it's just, I need to know why we didn't do well, or what we did well, and what needs to get better. And I actually sit and write notes, a couple of pages of notes for the coaches of what I see. And then on Sunday, we meet at 12:30, and we go over everything. And those are usually hard meetings, even if you win, because I'm saying what you're all saying. Why did this happen? I mean, come on, guys, help me with this. We're better than this. So come on, we gotta get this fixed. This is unacceptable.
So you watch it 3 times, even for like 8 o'clock kick?
That's why you stay up till about 4.
And then is it all 22? Is it a cut from y'all's staff? Is it TV reel?
I always watch 2 of the regular copies, the videos, and then I watch the TV copy, because I always want to know what the other team said. And usually they've talked to the TV people, and they'll say, here's what they thought they could do against them. And that helps me too, to see why I see what they did during the game.
So you do listen to the broadcast?
Just once.
Do you ever kind of shake your head at a lot of stuff they say?
I don't. I do it totally for information. And I guess since I call some of those games, I probably every now and then say, I don't know about that, brother.
There are good crews and there are not so good crews.
Yes, sir.
When we were talking about Kamen Rucker last week, and in terms of seeing him kind of dominate some other linemen and wondering who he was, I was curious, in terms of your approach to recruiting, how much do you kind of look for a certain prototype, and when do you decide to go against that for somebody like Kamen, who might not have the typical height and weight for his position, but obviously he makes plays?
Yeah, let's take 3 players, CL. Kamen everybody thought was too short. His measurables weren't good. I guess he's 6 foot a half inch or something. I don't even know exactly how tall he is. But he's National Honor Society student. Whipped everybody in our camp. I didn't know who he was. And I went to get some people and said, who is that? And they said, well, he's a little short. I said, I don't care. He's killed everybody in the offensive line. He's cost them all scholarships. And then you take Power Eccles. A lot of people thought he was too short. And he's one of our best players. And then when we offered Ced Gray, he wasn't offered a Power 5 scholarship. But those guys just love to play. And what you see now is what I saw in high school. And there's a lot more of those. But those three, Josh, some people thought Josh was too short. So you look at passion, you look at love for the game, and you look at production. I think the same thing happens in talking to Coach Moody about the NFL with scouts. Jeff Saturday was too little. He played 16 years or something. So you've got to be really, really careful. The most important measurable is love of the game, passion, playing with heart, and toughness. And if they can do that, and if they've got good character, you better not turn them down, because it'll come back to bite you.
Mack, going back to the NC State game last year, it's just such a, I think you called it one of your 3 most unbelievable endings in terms of a loss that have haunted you. I remember talking to you after the game. You looked shell-shocked. What did you?
That was because I was.
You're in that big jacket. How did you try to move past that, or did you not want to move past that? Did you want that to piss you off, for lack of a better word? How did you process it?
No, can you say that?
I don't know.
Cedric Gray said it all the time.
Well, he can. I just didn't know if Adam can.
You can say whatever you want to in this building, obviously.
Yeah.
But, I retract it if we don't like it.
No. It is what it is. They finished and we didn't. And what I hate again is it's on me. Why did we let them get behind us? Why did we not get the onside kick when we practice it every day? Get the onside kick, we're not talking about that game. We're 3-0 against them. It's not an issue. So that's you just go back and try to do the best you can do. Same thing at Texas Tech when we were number 1 in the country and the ball was thrown in the corner and we got him double covered. And one of the players says he heard a whistle blow in the student section, so he pulled off. Same thing with Virginia when I was over trying to keep our players from getting in a fight with the students when they were throwing stuff at them, and we throw an interception that runs it back for a touchdown with a safety from Raleigh I turned down that was a true freshman. Those things don't go away. You keep that the rest of your life.
Do you think that, frustration is such a, I don't know if that's the right word, it's almost not enough, but the stuff from that in Pitt and all that last year, when you talked about the locker room after the bowl loss to South Carolina, it was just a buildup of all that, wasn't it? Just an accumulation of all that mess.
It really was. I think we had a close loss at Notre Dame where we had a chance in the 4th quarter and we lose, and then we come back and we lose to Pitt and they win the league. And that's how talented we were, which is disappointing for me, because we had a great chance to win that game and just absolutely blew it. The clapping hurt us. That got us offset, but again, that's an official's call that was wrong. But you can't let it ruin you. And then they shift and move and say something, and we have motion and go back, and you got to be stronger and all that. And the thing that you get from my standpoint, Adam, and it sounds a little bit like coach speak, but my job is to take these young people and help them how to handle tougher things in their life. And you got to handle tough moments like that in the Pittsburgh game. You got to handle tough moments the other night. Why didn't we stop them on 3rd and 9? We got to. Somebody got to make a play. So what I'm sitting there talking to the team about this morning is you have to make a play to win a game. And that's in life. You got to step up and do something special. So who's going to make the play? Who's going to make the play? And you're a 10-win team. There haven't been many 10-win teams here. And you don't get this back now. You'll never get that Saturday night back. You've lost it for the rest of your life, and you'll have to think about it for the rest of your life. That's just it. It doesn't go away, but you got to use it to learn from it. And I think that would be the same with State last year or Pitt last year. In the bowl game, I didn't think it. I just didn't think enough people fought hard enough for that to even be a game.
Y'all just weren't there for that one.
Yeah. No, we weren't. We had checked out, and I hate that too. I put all of those things on me because I'm in charge of everything that happens in this building. And if a team doesn't show up, I didn't get them ready, and I take that very personal.
Mack, you talk about it's so easy to coach it when you win. Well, then Georgia Tech happens. How does this week look differently, if it does, depending on the score of the game?
Yeah, everybody beats them down this week, so I got to pick them up. And it starts with me. I got to pick me up. That 24-hour rule's never been more important than right now. Be proud of your 9 wins. Be proud you won the Coastal, and you got a short week to get ready for a very important game with a rival. So that's a great lesson for life. Nobody feels sorry for you. Nobody gonna sit around and say, "Boy, I hate that for them." They'll be okay. No, you gotta do it yourself. Got to pick yourself up and go. And they all look at me. So if and I don't lose well. I mean, that's been a problem for mine for years, and I know it. I mean, I admit it, but you cannot let one loss beat you twice, and that's really, really an important lesson for life.
You guys good? With
What was that?
Sorry, I'm just oops, wow. It's probably a stupid question. You said NC State. I mean, they presumably might be on their 4th starter with Ben Finley. I mean, do you?
So is Tech.
True, obviously, but like, do you?
Virginia had receivers I'd never heard of. Doesn't matter. Everybody got scholarship players that are good. If they weren't really good, they wouldn't have given them a scholarship.
Does it make for extra study when
It makes
could
it
be in Ben Morris?
That's a good point. It really makes it tougher for us because we don't have any idea who's going to play. We didn't know if 17 or 15 were going to play the other night. And then on 3rd down and 9, you don't know if they're going to throw it and take a chance because they got nothing to lose. With 15 in there, if 17's in there, they're going to run it. But it gave them 2 options. They did a smart thing, putting the quarterback that could run it or throw it in there on the 3rd and 9. So, no, we have absolutely no idea who's going to play on Thursday. It could be any of the 3. And it's been that way all year. You know, it's funny that even when Florida A&M came in and pulled out a quarterback that we'd never heard, it was a transfer from Vanderbilt that had played 4 plays, I think. And I looked up last night, those guys are 9-2. They lost to us, they lost to Jackson State, and they've won 9 straight. And they're a good team going to the playoffs. So, and that one totally fooled us because they'd kind of been an option team, and they came in with a pro-style offense. And then Appalachian had a new offensive coordinator. And so it's been a year where the defense, as much as we struggled early, has had to just make adjustments as the game's going on. And that's why we had played so well in second halves, I think, as we got settled in at halftime. We found out what they were doing, and we played better the second half. And we just can't get a slow start on Friday.
I got one more, so I appreciate Adam getting that one in. Senior Day on Friday. What is your plan? I know that with COVID year, there's a lot of different eligibility issues. So, I'm assuming we might get a list or something from Jeremy. But
yeah, Ross, what we did is we had Tamon Fox stayed for 2 senior days, and so it's a little crazy now. And I think maybe even British went to senior day last year, and he's back for 2 more years. So what we've done with the guys, if there's some chance that you might leave, go through senior day. So you'll have one. And then if you want to come back, we got it. Same thing with they take a picture of the victory bell when we beat Duke. So seniors get in, and it doesn't matter if you're in there twice. And then we'll all have to look at it and sit down and talk to each one of them after the Clemson game and try to figure out what's best. I saw another coach yesterday. It said his quote was, "We got to wait till the season's over and all this COVID stuff and extra years. It's hard to figure out how many years people have." We actually sit in the staff room now and say, "How many does he have left? When does he graduate?" He could have a 6th year, and even it hurt us so much when we lost. It hurt us when we lost Des Evans because he was playing so much better, but it hurt us when we lost Noah. And we tried to appeal to see if Noah could get an extra year, and I don't think that's going to happen. So it's just crazy with the COVID year, because you have to remember when they were here in the COVID year, because the ones that came in after them are back on the regular schedule, and I'm not even sure what COVID was in 2020.
March 2020.
So we're really 2 years past it. So that's going to linger for another 3 years probably with some guys. So it's just absolutely crazy. And where it does help them, if they can't play at the current place, it gives them an extra year when they transfer. And I think that's where it helps the most. Now, it's going to be crazy here, and I haven't thought about it, but the transfer portal opens up December 5th, I think.
Yep.
So who knows? And unlike most people, I wouldn't have done this probably 2 years ago, but I have told our guys, if you want to transfer and you want to get in the transfer portal and you want to stay here and play in the bowl game with us, I'm good with that. If you're transferring because you're not getting enough playing time here, but you're going to fight your guts out and help us win in the bowl game, I'm fine with that. I mean, we're being honest with each other and we're being fair. So this person, whoever it would be, has fought and helped us get to the bowl game, helped us win the Coastal. So why would we not want them around? I think it's just the fair and the right thing to do. And we haven't had problems with our guys that have transferred. We've helped them. We followed up with them. And I talked to Temple the other day, and they love Zach Gill. He's starting for them at tackle, and that's been
It's a throwback name.
yeah, but they love him, and Zulu. I mean, those guys transferred, and they're both playing, and so it's important that if you're about young people, you're about young people, and you need to do what's best for them. And if they can't stay here, because the ones that are here now aren't mad, so what's going to change in the next 3 to 5 weeks? I just don't see it. So that's just a decision I made this year that I wouldn't have made 2 years ago.
Thank you.
I have one more if allowed. Will I get?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see parallels to what NC State has gone through this year to what you guys went through last year, in the effect of you coming in last year with Sam, hyped for the Heisman, you're rated in the top 10, but you had lost Daz and Diami, you had lost Javante and Michael. Wolfpack lost those 2 running backs. They lost to Mezzi at wideout. They lost the offensive lineman to the Panthers. And then you had Evan Leary coming back underneath sort of the same preseason expectation. I don't know. We've talked about it a little bit. It just seems like they kind of came into this year the way you guys came into last year, and then everybody was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" You know, you almost
Right.
lost to East Carolina and all that. I don't know if you've seen any parallels there.
What I have learned that I will not talk about our opponent. So I have learned that. And if I do, it will be very positive. And that might not be taken in a positive light because we struggled last year. But I do think in our program, and it's part of this week with Georgia Tech, we're still learning how to handle praise. We've still had trouble responding to very positive things, and we've got to build on that. And we got to get stronger with that instead of happening what happened last week. I mean, that's you got to embrace it, but build on it, and instead of be complacent with praise. Because when everybody bragging on you, if you think about it, very few people repeat for championships because they don't do the little things they have to do the next year that got them to the championship. And it's been that way for 100 years, and it makes no sense. You can be the same team, but don't have the same attention to detail. And that's what we've got to start doing when we get some praise. Okay? Thank you.
Appreciate you bearing with us there, Mac.
Thanks, Coach.
You're gonna put it on Wednesday. I'm gonna see something.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving. I won't even see you.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
I'll see you Friday.